And we begin with breaking news from Delta State, where Governor Sheriff Oboriwori has defected to the All Progressives Congress, APC. The State Commissioner for Works, Rural Roads and Public Information, Charles Aniagu, disclosed this to journalists shortly after a closed-door meeting at the Government House, Asaba. Aniagu, flanked by the pioneer PDP chairman in the state, James Manager, further provides reasons for their defections. Those in attendance at the stakeholders meeting include 2023 vice presidential candidate of the PDP and immediate past governor of the state, Ifeanyi Okowa, National Assembly members, state assembly members, commissioners, among others. The PDP has been in power in Delta State since 1999.
And in taking that decision, we came to the inevitable conclusion that moving out of the PDP is very, very necessary for us to be able to collaborate with our kith and kin and build that state that every Delta will be proud of. We believe that what is happening and the state of the PDP is akin to that palm wine whose tastes have changed, and there was a need for us to change the drinking pattern. And that is why this decision has been taken unanimously by leaders and stakeholders of the party, and by the grace of God, on Monday next week, we will be able to make a very big statement as to the fact that we are moving into the APC.
And you see people saying different things at different times, sometimes at the same time. They'll be saying the same thing, but in different ways. So the PDP has never gotten this kind of trouble before. PDP is in trouble, truly. So for so many other deeper reasons that I'm not in a position to give you now, well, yes, we have 11, 12 governors. But for now, I don't think it is good enough for the PDP family in Delta to continue to be inside that boat.
Joining us now for more on this is News Central's Delta State correspondent Austin Azu. Austin, I mean, it's been a few hours since the governor defected to the APC. What's the update with you?
State capital here. From the information we gathered so far, is expected to be in Abuja to meet with the presidents and, of course, meet with other national leaders of the APC in Abuja to familiarize himself with who and who, and thereafter return back to the states. Hopefully, like what the commission had said, that the governor will be received by the vice presidents and some other big wings in the APC. But by and large, the political atmosphere here in Delta State, precisely in Asaba, has changed. And some of the viral videos we have seen so far, the appointees of the governor have started, making some kind of statements, raising their symbols of their new party, which is the APC. And some of them are trying to acclimatize themselves with the slogan. And what they are just saying is that they want to take over. And that's what is actually on their mindset and their lips at the moment. But however, the PDP himself and the PDP leadership and others are yet to make official statements. And we heard, of course, in a few days to come, definitely they will issue out a statement in uniformism with what the stakeholders' decision, and thereafter from the party level, at the local level, and the world's level as well. So there's going to be a massive defection here in Delta State from the PDP down to the APC. Now, of course, we spoke to some of the APC leaders just not quite long on phone, and they were so excited to receive the news of the governor's defection. And they said they welcome the governor with open hand. And, of course, they are quite happy that, yes, they want to be in power in the state. Of course, they have been in opposition for the past few years, and PDP has been in power for the past 20 years. And we equally spoke with some other people who are not in PDP and who are not in APC, of course, the SDP and the Labour Party. And of course, they are quite, they expressed disappointment over the movement of the governor. And they're actually saying that the state will not be a one-party state, and they will continue to play their opposition role, and expecting that in the days ahead, they will equally issue a statement to, press home their demands, what they actually want from this government, in as much the governor has defected to the APC.
And how the people of Delta State taking it? I must understand that it must be somewhat. Did it come to them as a surprise, given that this has been a stronghold for the PDP for more than a decade, if not 2 decades over?
Of course, to some who are not politicians, we have seen some of their comments that they were not quite happy with the decision of the governor, knowing fully well that the governor needs to play an opposition role to ensure that it's able to deliver the dividends of democracy to the people of the states. But others, they didn't see it as being, apolitical, that what they want is that they want to remain in power. Of course, the 2027 political fever is just what is on ground, and they don't want to, gamble with it. They just want to ensure they're able to concede whatever they will concede before the election. Is just the political horse trading that they are after. But the ordinary man in the streets will begin to find out from him or her, to find out if this perception of this defection, how they are going to react to it. Of course, they are going to have a diverse opinions regarding this defection. But nevertheless, we have some, people who are not interested in the politics of the states. All they are interested is just to have their daily bread and see where they can lie their heads and go ahead with their normal lives. So it's expected, of course, there's going to be more reactions. Maybe as from tomorrow, people will definitely speak their minds. And however, we'll go to each of the secretariats. We'll go to the PDP secretariat. I'll go to that of the APC secretariat to find out if there are adequate arrangement for these mass defectors who are coming to the APC.
All right. Well, I mean, Austin, many thanks. We appreciate you for doing this with us, Austin, as you are corresponding live from Asaba Delta, as the governor of the state have defected to the APC from the PDP. Still on politics in the South-South, the South-South Zonal Working Committee of the PDP has dissolved its Bayelsa State Working Committee and replaced the Edo State Caretaker Committee, citing misconduct, internal crisis, and poor performance. New caretaker teams have been installed in both states for 3 months following a meeting chaired by Zonal Vice Chairman Dan Orbin in Port Harcourt. Now, Orbin, backed by FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, appointed George Turner and Nosa Ogieve to lead Bayelsa and Edo respectively, despite opposition from the PDP National Working Committee. The restructuring was described as a political purge, with allies of Wike taking control. The party, however, said the move aims to stabilize and reposition PDP ahead of future elections, referencing its poor performance in the last Edo governorship election poll. In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu reportedly met with Siminalayi Fubara, the suspended governor of Rivers State, in London last week. Now, this is according to Africa Report, which cited 2 unnamed aides to the president. It is not clear at whose instance this meeting held, but sources say Fubara is expected to play ball in order to smoothen his path back to office. Sources privy to the discussions said negotiations are ongoing, with the possibility that Fubara's suspension may be lifted before the 6-month deadline. We're also hinting at his likely defection to the APC. Away from that, a Finnish court has approved the extradition of Simon Ekpa, a Finnish Nigerian separatist leader, to Nigeria. The Panjat Hamin District Court in Lati gave the ruling on April 18th, with the transfer scheduled for July 15, 2025. Ekpa, who refers to himself as the Prime Minister of the self-proclaimed Biafra Republic government in exile, is accused of inciting unrest in southeastern Nigeria from abroad. He was arrested in November of 2024 after months of surveillance by Finnish authorities. Now, while he's linked to separatist activities, the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB has repeatedly disowned him, insisting his acts independently and without their endorsement, that he acts independently and without their endorsement. We're going to short break, shall we? When we return, it's farewell to Pope Francis as mourners gather at St. Peter's Basilica to pay their last respects. We'll give you the details just after the break. Join us again. Welcome back. Catholic faithfuls in Lagos State are celebrating special Mass at the Holy Cross Cathedral in honor of the late Pope Francis, who died on Easter Monday. Worshippers extolled the virtues of the pontiff, but thanked God for his life of service to God and humanity. Thousands of mourners gathered in St. Peter's Square on Wednesday as Pope Francis's body was moved from his Vatican residence to St. Peter's Basilica ahead of his funeral on Saturday. The Pope's open coffin was carried in a solemn procession as church bells tolled, and the crowd of 20,000 pilgrims applauded a traditional Italian gesture of reverence. Pope Francis died on Monday at the age of 88 following a stroke and complications from double pneumonia. He has spent 5 weeks in hospital earlier this year. Serving for 12 years, he was the first Latin American pontiff and a transformative figure in the Catholic Church. Funeral preparations are now underway in the Vatican. And visuals you're seeing there is from their live footages from St. Peter Basilica as mourners pay their last respect to Pope Francis. The late Pope died on Easter Monday.
That they, who thirst for what you generously promise, may always have their fill of your plenty.
And joining us now live is Archbishop Michael Crotty. He is the Apostolic Nuncio to Nigeria, and he joins us now from Abuja, the capital, for a conversation on the passing of the Pope. I want to say thank you so much for taking out the time to join us, Archbishop. And let me just get started by asking, how is the Church taking this, this solemn time to grieve the passing of the Pope?
It is a time of great grief for the Church, for the countless faithful throughout the world. Also here in Nigeria, we have been praying for many months, last couple of months, for the good health of the Holy Father. And we were also happy to see him on Sunday making his visit to St. Peter's Square. He joined for the end of the solemn blessing at the end of Easter Sunday Mass, and afterwards he traveled among the crowds and the faithful in St. Peter's Square. And while he looked ill, there was great hope that he was finally on the road to recovery. And so it came as a great shock, an unexpected shock on Monday morning when we received the news that he had gone to God. And so it is a huge loss for us. He is a father. That is why we call him Holy Father. He is he's our father in the faith. And for now, there's a huge emptiness in the Church, which the Catholic faithful feel throughout the world. Every day now, during the celebration of Mass, where you customarily mention the name of the Pope, there is no Pope to mention because the See of Rome is vacant. We have a sede vacante, as they call it. And that is literally a void, an emptiness. And we are praying now for the Holy Father, for that the Lord may receive him into his heavenly home as we prepare for the funeral Mass on Saturday morning in St. Peter's Square.
And as we prepare for Saturday morning at St. Peter's Square, one has to look at, the vacancy, or rather his legacy and what he means for the Catholic Church. we're at a time of uncertainty with all that's happening in Gaza and Israel, as well as, President Trump and all of his initiatives and immigration law. What does this mean at this time for the church and his legacy on the church?
Well, I think Pope Francis, as all his predecessors, was a pilgrim of peace, a pilgrim of hope. He wanted to be a voice for peace in the world, a voice for looking after the poor, the marginalized. He was very concerned for the plight of migrants, for refugees, and certainly in all the wars that are happening, unfortunately, in the world at the moment, with the war in Ukraine and the war in Gaza and in Israel, and many, many other parts, in many parts of Africa. Even on his Easter Sunday address, which was read out on his behalf, he addressed many of these areas of the world. So as the Supreme Pontiff, one of his concerns in the world, as part of his universal mission, was one of peace. And I think it's a witness to his office as Pope in all these years, these past 12 years in doing that. So we're feeling a big loss now at the moment, and so it is crucial that we join, we pray for that a new successor of St. Peter will be found in the person of a new Pope.
And lastly, I mean, as we're talking about his legacies, one also has to bring Africa on the fore, and most importantly, Nigeria. Nigeria has one of the largest weekly attendance in Africa, besides Kenya. And so one has to look at, Nigeria is clearly a church of interest in the entire body of the Catholic Church. And how would you look at what Nigerian Catholics will remember the Pope Francis the most for?
Well, I think they will remember him for his humility, his simplicity, and his own personality. He very much brought his own personality to the papacy. He did many things the way he was used to do them in Buenos Aires when he was Archbishop there, and I think those aspects of his personality and his style of being a pope will be missed, and be very much part of his legacy, and also his great emphasis on key themes such as mercy and being a merciful father, and he certainly always encouraged priests to be ministers of mercy, of God's mercy to the faithful. And I think they will be missed for those things. And Nigeria, of course, as you say, is a very important presence in the Catholic Church in the world, and will be part of that. There will be, at the funeral mass, there will be 2 Nigerian cardinals attending, and many other fathers and sisters and lay people who are in Italy and in other parts of Europe, I'm sure, will also make their way to Rome to participate in the funeral of the Holy Father.
And lastly for you, Archbishop, before I let you go, what was one thing from his legacy that would stick with you and maybe change your world view or perspective when it comes to service, and your service to his vineyard?
Well, when I was in Rome, I worked in Rome for a number of years, and I was overlapped with Pope Francis when I was in Rome. We lived in the same house. He moved in, as you know, he lived in the Casa Santa Marta, in the residence in the Vatican. So I think we're always struck by that desire of his to live as much of his life as before, the simplicity. He desired to live in a community of priests who are working in the Vatican, as if to say he was just one among us. And that is something that will always leave a lasting impression. Just meeting him in the corridor, meeting him in the elevator, things like that, little remarks like that. So it's the simplicity and the ordinariness that he sought as Pope.
I must say thank you so much, sir, Archbishop Michael Crotty, for just taking out the time to join us and just give us a bit more of that personal story of you and the Pope. Again, may his soul rest in peace. Thank you. We'll switch gears now. In a bid to tackle the ongoing humanitarian crisis in the northeast, the Nigerian Economic Summit Group says that it is partnering with the Borno Development Foundation. The chairman of the NESG, during the signing of a memorandum of understanding in Abuja, says that the collaboration will drive sustainable and locally focused solutions to tackle the region's humanitarian crisis. Our correspondent Joshua Marai has more details in this report. Take a look.
Localizing humanitarian response is taking center stage as the Nigerian Economic Summit Group formalized a strategic partnership with the Borno Development Foundation. The high-level meeting, which held in Abuja, 3 members of the foundation's Board of Governors, NESG executives, and key development partners. Stakeholders say the initiative is designed to drive homegrown solutions to the humanitarian crisis in Borno State and the northeastern region of Nigeria.
Especially in the case of Borno, the rate at which we were producing out-of-school children and the fact that people didn't have incomes and jobs was becoming a major problem. Hence, the insurgency.
If we trace back the history of the NESG, our focus has always been on building or championing reforms towards making Nigeria to be a more open, modern, sustainable, inclusive economy. And inclusive is very important so that no one is left behind, no region is left behind.
Outlining the scope of the partnership, the chief executive of the NESG says that the agreement will enable targeted interventions in the northeast, focused on delivering lasting solutions to the region's deep-rooted challenges.
So what the MOU seeks to do in the first instance is to build within the partnership in the Borno Development Foundation a governance architecture that allows us to, 1, deploy in a sustainable way interventions in Borno first, and then in the Northeast broadly, programs that can be targeted at resolving current crisis, but also provide lasting solutions to key problems.
Development partners present at the engagement expressed their views on the partnership.
We truly believe on the basis and principles of the MOU. We think that the private sector, people from the private sector, enterprises, and then their social branches, which normally are foundations, are a critical actor in the development of any and every country.
This is so important because now whatever we build here as local players, we know it will be sustainable. We know nobody will take it away from us.
Stakeholders present see that the partnership will encourage the drive to effect locally driven solutions to address the region's challenges. They say that this will foster long-term stability and growth for the northeast of the country. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imadai.
You're watching News Now on News Central Television. Let's go on a short break. When we return, there's more. Stay here. And you're welcome back. The Lagos State Ministry of Health has been making significant strides towards transforming the healthcare sector. Now, after 2 years in office with the current administration, several initiatives have been introduced to address both immediate and long-term health challenges as part of their ongoing efforts to build a resilient and sustainable health system. News Central's Bettina Onweli reports.
The Ministerial Scorecard Series is a platform for honorable commissioners to tell Nigerians how they have fared in executing the policies and programs of the administration from their various sectors. Earlier Wednesday, the Honorable Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, and the Special Advisor to the Governor on Health, Dr. Mrs. Kemi Ogunyemi, presented the annual ministerial report, providing a detailed account of the ministry's activities, programs, and achievements since the inception of the Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu-led administration.
So there's an urgent demand to exponentially increase quality healthcare professionals in Nigeria, and for us, it is an intense need in Lagos State. It is the situation analysis that has justified the Executive Council to come to a deliberate decision to establish a standalone University of Medicine and Health Sciences, Lagos, known as the UMH.
Lagos State's 2025 health agenda is focused on tackling brain drain, improving the living and working conditions of health professionals, adhering to WHO's doctor-to-patient ratios, enhancing medical education, and preparing for climate-related challenges, amongst others. The ministry's efforts represent a bold step towards creating a more resilient and sustainable healthcare system for the people of Lagos.
Declared a zero tolerance on maternal death in the process of childbirth. Our target over the next 20 to 30 years is to bring that number down from 430 to 37. And we are also engaging with our diasporan associations in Europe, America, and across the world to facilitate the return of Nigerian specialists in from the diaspora. We are focusing on improving the living conditions of all our health professionals. We're building medical professional staffing quarters in all our new projects, and we're even going back into our old facilities to construct accommodation for our health professionals.
While public-private partnerships are expected to play a crucial role in accelerating these projects, with advancements in telemedicine, artificial intelligence, and data-driven healthcare systems, Lagos is positioning itself to lead in smart healthcare solutions for the future. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
The Nigerian Shippers Council, NSC, has said that the implementation of the proposed inland dry ports in the northeast would attract imports and exports from neighboring African countries around the region and further boost the African Continental Free Trade Area after News Central's maritime correspondent Neoma Obiasolo looks at the potentials of this regional shipping activity in this report. Take a look.
The Executive Secretary and CEO of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Pius Akuta, in an interactive session with stakeholders from Northeast Zone on regional integration for shipping activities in Bauchi, said the federal government is committed to diversifying Nigeria's economy and promote non-oil exports. He added that the council has received the federal government's approval to reopen the Cargo Defense Fund CDF for shippers. He noted that the council is working on the Standard Operating Procedure SOP for the Cargo Defense Fund, a move aimed at supporting shippers facing issues building on previous efforts to restructure the CDF.
We want to use that fund to also build a very strong mechanism for conflict resolution, so that even if it requires a court process other than just a dispute resolution, the fund can be available to do that. And again, the issue of providing necessary tool for trade facilitation, like having an internet clinic where you can go there with resources, adequate resources for you to go there and learn about a particular trade you want to go into, is also a component that that fund we establish. We are trying to see how we can build those clinics across the entire zones so that shippers can go there freely and have information that they are looking for.
On his part, Bala Mohammed, governor of Bauchi State, who was represented by the Commissioner of Commerce, Industry and Investment, Mohammed Salis Gamawa, described the council's move as a game changer in Nigeria's export business and also cited the state's strategic location for economic integration in the northeast.
You innovate from that which you've already learned. Like part of our innovation strategy for the upcoming inland dry ports in Bauchi State is that we've learned from the inland dry ports we've visited, there's no integration with industrial clusters. We're trying to create it together with our special economic zones so that there will be more free trade facilitation within the region. So ours is for regional development and, of course, by extension to the Nigerian people.
The zonal coordinator of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Northeast Coordinating Office, Mr. Nanle Nabal, used the opportunity of the CEO's visit to share challenges facing operational activities with the NSC boss promised to address. In the days ahead, the maritime industry look forward to the impact of this collaboration with the Northeast zones in addressing the challenges facing shippers in the region. For News Central, Norma Obiaswalo.
And outside Nigeria now, as West African leaders are meeting in Ghana to address the withdrawal of Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. The two-day session, which began Tuesday in Accra, is focusing on the modalities of the withdrawal process and its impact on ECOWAS institutions operating within the three countries. The bloc plans to establish a framework for discussions with each nation to manage the transition. Tensions have risen since the three military-led states formed the Alliance of Sahel States and imposed a 0.5% import duty on goods from ECOWAS, excluding humanitarian aid. The move challenges ECOWAS's commitment to regional trade integration and free movement. Talks continue today as leaders seek a way forward for the region's stability and cooperation. Residents of Istanbul experienced a series of earthquakes on Wednesday, which began in Silivri, a coastal town just 50 kilometers from the city center, and was felt all the way in Bulgaria and Greece. The earthquake sent residents fleeing their apartments and shop owners running from shuddering buildings. Earthquakes are not uncommon in Turkey, and in Istanbul, environmentalists have been forecasting a massive earthquake of up to 7 to 8 degrees before the end of 2030.
I still feel a little bit shaken emotionally, but I feel better now.
Are you leaving?
Yeah, I am leaving. I am leaving because I don't want to stay at dormitory because I had the earthquake here and I don't feel safe at staying here, and I don't know if I can sleep if I stay here.
I was at home actually in Levant, so I was lying down when I felt it actually. So I was like, "What's happening?" I've never experienced it before, so my first time actually. Yeah.
So what did you have to do? Did you get out of the house?
Not immediately. We were still in the house for like 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes actually before we left and went outside to see for ourselves.
Residents of Istanbul felt a series of earthquakes on Wednesday. It began in the coastal city of Silivri, about 50 kilometers away from the city, but it was felt right here at the city center, sending residents like myself fleeing from their apartments. You would grab whatever you can grab and just leave the apartment. Take a look at that lady with her little bag right there, just waiting for the worst to be over. It also sent shop owners fleeing from shuddering buildings. This earthquake was felt as far as Bulgaria and, of course, in Greece. These two neighboring European countries share borders with Turkey. It is not uncommon to experience earthquakes in Turkey, and as a matter of fact, environmentalists have been warning of an upcoming earthquake of the magnitude between 7 and 8 in Istanbul before the year 2030. Now, the Minister of Environment, Turkey's Minister of Environment, Murat Kurum, warned that Istanbul does not have the capacity to withstand such disastrous earthquake when it happens, and that 1 in 5 homes in Istanbul is considered structurally unstable to withstand that sort of earthquake, and that about 600,000 houses would be affected in just the first few minutes when the earthquake hits. So it is not a matter of if this city is going to experience a massive, disastrous earthquake. It's a matter of when. And when that happens, the big question is Istanbul ready? For News Central, Adeshawa Josh, Istanbul, Turkey.
Nigeria's top banks, Zenith, GTCO, UBA, Access, and First Holdco posted a record 5.1 trillion naira profit in 2024, driven by FX gains, rising interest income, and strong investor confidence despite economic pressures. Oluwa Yemisi Sumola, the banking research analyst at Vetiva Capital, noted that some banks met requirements and rarely reduce dividends.
There is an expectation that, especially with the banks, they would either meet their dividend payout, because most of the times we don't see them go back on dividends, or we might not what we do not expect is the higher dividend growth than what was recorded in the year 2024. So we could likely see dividends stay either the same or close slightly higher, given profit expectations.
At the spring meetings, the IMF cut global growth forecast to 2.8% for 2025 and 3% in 2026, citing trade tensions, policy uncertainty, and urging coordinated reforms for recovery. Professor Andrew Rowe of Stellenbosch Business School stated that tariffs hinder systemic economic growth, limiting progress and affordability. He emphasized that consumers globally, including Americans, benefit more from access to cheaper goods through free trade.
Tariffs ultimately do more harm than good. You will find net winners when you have tariffs within a country. Domestic producers are probably net winners, but there are many more net losers or losers as a result of tariffs. So yes, tariffs have never, at least at this level, have never brought about sustained economic growth. They inevitably will dampen economic growth. That's the nature of what tariffs are. They are, if you like, a distortion of natural forces. They denying, for instance, people in America, consumers, the ability to buy goods at the cheapest possible price. They are curbing exports from all countries, including developing countries, which feel it most. So really, yes, it's not surprising. What is surprising is the absolute volatility of his announcements. So up one day, down the next day, reversing his previous decision, etc. And that's creating so much uncertainty.
Nigeria's contingent at the 2025 Africa Weightlifting Championship in Mauritius have received a major moral boost after the Director General of the National Sports Commission, Bukola Olakpade, he donated $3,800 to athletes and officials. Olakpade, currently in Mocha to support the team, praised their dedication and reminded them of Nigeria's strong legacy in weightlifting. He also revealed that 4 Nigerian lifters have been selected for the champions or for the Commission's elite athletes program and will receive $20,000 each in annual training grants, with $5,000 disbursed soon. 6 Nigerian weightlifters, 4 women and 2 men are competing in the championship as they prepare for the Commonwealth Games, World Championships, and the 2028 Olympic Games. The Athletics Federation of Nigeria has received or released, I beg your pardon, the full list of athletes who will represent the country at the 2025 World Athletics Relay in Guizhou, China on May 10th and 11th. In the men's 4x100 meter, Nigeria will field Alaba Akintola, Odudi Uwozurike, Favor Ashe, and Kellington Anu Nagba. There's also Olaoye Folawiyo and Ushorishe Ishekiri. Now for the women's 4x100 meter, we have Rosemary Chukwuma, Success Umukoro, Tiana Iyakpo Bian, Favor Ofili, Jennifer Obi Chukuka, and Toby Musan. They will fly the Eagles flag, or rather they'll fly the nation's flag. Now in the 4x400 meter mixed relay, we have Chidi Okazie, Ifeanyi Ojeli, Samson Nathaniel, Patience Okon Judge, Praise Idama Dudu, and Omo Lara Ogumi Kiji, and they will all be competing for the 4x400 meter. Now for the 4x100 meter mixed relay team includes Favor Asha, Alaba Akintola, Odudi Owuzurike, Rosemary Chukuma, Favor Ofili, and Success Umokoro. And that's all we can take at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. The Delta Governor, Sheriff Oborevwori, has announced defection from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the winning All Progressive Congress, APC. Court in Finland has approved the extradition of self-acclaimed Prime Minister of Biafra, Simon Ekpa, to Nigeria over alleged terrorism. And we also told you that the withdrawal of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso is atop the agenda as our ECOWAS leaders meet in Ghana, Accra. Now, do remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. While you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on every social media platform. You can always watch News Central live anywhere you are. We're on DSTV channel 422. Find us on GoTV. We're at channel 23. We're also on Star Times channel 274, Avo TV as well, or you can stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Many thanks.